Can I get your names, please?
Sure, my name's Alisdair Macrae.
And I'm Patrick Lacasse.
And you have been working on this show for how long?
About 8 months?
Yeah.
Yeah, 8 months.
How many pieces do you have?
Counted individually, I think we had at least 60.
Yeah. Some of the pieces are duplicates, but I think there's at least 60 different objects.
And what do we have here?
These are called tank drums, and we found a template and instructions on how to make them online. The gentleman that makes instruments, he explains how you can make these from an empty propane tank that's never been filled with propane before, and you can demonstrate them. They're just a resonating instrument. So each tongue produces a different tone.
How did you come up with the idea of turning objects into instruments?
Oh, I think it's just we both have a mutual interest in music, and it's often something that we work together at the Carleton University Art Gallery, so it's something that we'd often talk about. And then I think once we got the idea to propose an exhibition based around that sort of idea, then it started generating more ideas.
So you're working at Carleton as well?
Yes, I am.
With him?
Yes.
Okay. What about this one? It's the same instrument?
It's
Same.
yeah, it's orange. That's
It's
that's the only real difference.
no political
No
connotations.
No.
Okay.
And the tones are similar. Like we thought we could change the tuning, but we didn't want to risk it because we don't have enough experience with this sort of instrument making.
Would you like to show me more?
Sure. Patrick, if you want to go ahead.
Here we have some electronic-based instruments. They're mostly like simple synthesizer instruments. So this one uses the ribbon controller to make sounds. This one is called the melodica. It's similar, but it uses buttons instead. It's a little quiet, but
So did you do research into this? Or?
a little bit. I've been working with electronics for a number of years, so mostly dealing with guitars and things. This was a little different, but I was aware of some of these circuits and I decided to use them.
What about this one?
This one's called the drone box. And basically, you just play with the knobs to make different sounds.
And the other ones?
Similar to this one, except a smaller version.
Kids must love this.
We hope so. Hope so.
You probably had a lot of fun building this instrument.
I think that was the main thing. There was nothing that we just thought, well, this is a really, I mean, some things were more challenging, but as long as we were having fun, that was the main thing. You know, just things that we talked about, but we didn't have the opportunity or real need to build it. And then once we got the exhibition accepted, it sort of just opened up all these opportunities and just the potential to do different things.
When I came, you were sitting here, both of you, and you have you have a banjo, several guitars.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to show us how they work?
Well, Patrick is a better guitarist than I am, but go ahead.
So this one's basically a cigar box guitar. It's made with a cigar box body, electric.
Nice. I'm assuming you also own classical guitars too.
Yeah, I have all kinds.
Which one is your favorite?
Well, we each made a couple. So I mean, I don't know if they're my favorite, but these were the ones that I worked on over here. These were, they're from a book, and these were both cookie tin guitars. This one has some amplification. It has piezo mics in the body. And it was fun to build just because I'd never built a guitar before, but it still needs some work, I think. I mean, having never built a guitar before, the action's a little high. But it was just a lot of fun because you can put so much care and attention into them. Guitar seems like a pretty particular object in terms of that. Like you can just keep on adding detail and more details. It's almost like a classic car or something like that. So we had a lot of fun. I think just adding, I mean, that was the most fun part for me because I knew I wouldn't be able to play it very well even once I got it done. But at least I could work on maybe finishing it so it looked like something.
And you also recycled a lot.
Yeah, and that was, I mean, a lot of these things, you know, some of the things like the tuning hardware is bought from a store. It's something that we couldn't make ourselves, but a lot of these things, it's almost necessary that you start with either like a cigar box or an old cookie tin, or even the banjo that Patrick worked on is a cake pan, which is really nice, because then you get to be a bit more innovative and just try different things out.
What about this one?
This is a stand-up bass, and it's a typical sort of wash tub bass. So to play it, you just keep your foot up here so that it doesn't tip back, and then as you draw the string tighter, it'll change the notes. This is, again, something neither of us had built, but it was almost the chance to make it. It seemed like so much fun, we had to do it.
Which one was the hardest?
Gosh, good question. How about, Patrick, you go first. Which one was the hardest for you?
I think probably some of the electronic instruments were kind of frustrating because you try something and it doesn't always work the first time, so you have to start
Which
over.
one's over there?
Yeah, like the ones on the table there for me.
That we just showed.
Yes.
Those?
Yeah.
What about the ones over there? Can I follow you there?
Yeah, please. The ones over on this table or over on the wall?
Let's start with these ones.
Sure. These are called marimbulas, and this is they're from a book called Perfect Music by it's Bannick Scoville. Or Sound Designs. I'm sorry. It's the but they talk about a concept that we got the title for the show from, and there's a lot of variations on this type of. It's just like a resonating instrument using metal with these sort of tongues. We have smaller versions in the thumb pianos, which are also called kalimbas. And you can play these either with your fingers, or they sound a bit more lively with these wooden mallets. So the Durax is a sound box, and that just picks up the vibrations from pieces of metal. But it's all very basic instructions. So these were a little tricky, but they're not meant to be incredibly precise. And I think that was another interest in the objects that we were working on. We didn't want to make something so complicated or difficult that a person couldn't think, well, I couldn't make that, or I'm not, I don't have enough specialized knowledge or skills. A lot of these things, I mean, some of the electronics, sure, you need some particular knowledge for those, but a lot of these things other people could make, which
Like this one?
Well, this
This is not an electronic.
This was Patrick's idea. He gets credit for this one.
We went to this wood store at the beginning of this project, and basically we picked out some wood for certain pieces, like the theremin and this one. And just after seeing that piece of wood, I just decided to make something with it, and it just kind of happened. I don't know. I knew I wanted to make some kind of string instrument and electric, and yeah, I'm not sure where, I kind of made it up as I went along.
So how does it work?
Well, it's sort of like a harp, I guess, in a way. Yeah, it doesn't do too much.
did you just say theremin?
Yes, over
Where
there
is it?
by the wall there on
Can
the,
you show it to us?
Yeah.
Not many people know how this works.
So this is one of Alisdair's pieces, so maybe... Okay, so it's an electronic circuit. Basically, it works with proximity to the antenna. And I'll change the pitch.
Nice.
So we got these two pieces of wood also from that wood store, and this is basically how they came. We didn't really do too much though. Right?
Yeah, so it basically became a housing for the electronics. And that, I think, was that what led into this one, the optical theremin?
Yeah,
or?
same thing. That's where I got that piece of wood as well.
Yeah, so this one, this was interesting, because this is where we had one idea to build a theremin, but then Patrick sort of ran with it a bit, and he got some photovoltaic sensors. So once you cover up the light a bit, it'll change the pitch. The same way, it's almost like a proximity. But again, this was just it's like a piece of maple from that store, and it serves as a really nice base for all this electronic gear.
Are you planning on organizing workshops on how to build instruments?
I mean, we could, I guess.
If you have interest and demand?
Sure. It's up to the gallery. I don't know if they typically do that. I mean, we're more than happy to share whatever we know. It's not incredibly specialized knowledge. And I guess the idea is that people can come in here and interact with the works. So if they like them enough and they want to know more about how to build them, yeah, we'd be happy to share that with people.
What about the little instruments on the wall?
Well, those are it's just marimbas. And I was over at Patrick's house. We were talking about this project, and he brought out a marimba, but it was all in one piece. And I think it's 7 or 8 pieces of metal, and they're just lined up according to their tone. And what really appealed to me about that instrument was the sustain of these pieces of metal. And so I made a very crude version, just using scraps of wood and some metal that I cut up myself, which was sort of the challenge to just see if I could actually make it work. I mean, it's such a simple instrument. It's pieces of metal cut to a certain length, and as long as they're suspended, so that the sound isn't being dampened, then they work just fine. So I was pretty happy with it. So with these different pieces, you can get the scale. I mean, I've basically broken up the instrument into these different sections.
Do you also have blowing instruments?
We didn't have any wind instruments. I think that's mainly because people probably wouldn't want to share them. And it may also, they might be a bit more complicated. I don't know, we didn't think about it much. I think it might have just been for sanitary reasons.
So you have strings, percussion?
That's pretty much, I would say strings and percussion. And the electronics, which they're neither of those. But yeah, that's pretty much the show. We built some crystal radios because we were interested in that sort of concept of, I guess, an instrument or a device.
Are they over there?
Well, there's one here,
Oh.
there's one there and over there, but I think we both like the idea that they could operate without any sort of additional power source. They're drawing their energy from the radio waves. Unfortunately, the reception in the City Hall or in this art gallery isn't very good. So
Does it work?
It doesn't, not exactly, no. I mean, it works, but not in this setting. But people might still recognize what they are, and it's not an incredibly practical object. You might pick up 1 or 2 stations, and you could probably get better reception for a radio station on your phone these days. But I think we're both just interested in the really basic technology that's accessible to people.
Of all of them, which one would you say is the most innovative instrument?
I built really crude, basic instruments. I think Patrick built some that were...
I mean, as far as electronic circuits are concerned, all of these are fairly basic as well, so it's not, I don't know about...
I think, I mean, for instance, with the dimple gongs, it's just a sheet of aluminum, 1/8 of an inch sheet, and 12 inches square. But for us...
Can I go over there?
Yeah, sure. I guess the concept is very basic. but for us it seemed really innovative that you could just change the pitch of this metal with, we had a couple hammers and you strike one hammer into the center of the sheet of metal and then you get this dimple and then it just makes different tones. So I don't know, I mean that for us I think that was pretty fascinating. Again, it's pretty simple, but that's almost more innovative because it is so simple.
Yes. And I guess that's where the innovation is. The simpler it is, the better it gets.
Yeah, I would say so. I would agree with that. So a lot of these instruments might have been built with, you know, typically people that might not have access to a lot of money or technology. We could probably put ourselves in that category. But traditionally, I mean, you make a cigar box banjo or a cigar box guitar. It's something that you would make at home, just from whatever's lying around.
And how long is this show?
So I think for the month,
Yeah,
till the end of April.
27th, I think it is.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, can you share one more instrument with us?
Sure. You want to do the Draudios or?
This is just for the visitors to play with us here on the table?
Well, it's a type of, it makes sound. It's called a Draudio. It's a circuit that you can buy from, I think it's Adafruit. It's a website. And it's kind of a fun instrument. It's this pencil, once you pick it up, by touching this copper here, it's creating a circuit. So when I draw, this is part of the circuit, and this other wire will go down to the circuit board, and basically by putting my finger onto it, I'm completing the circuit. So I just get some. So that one's a bit of fun.
Yes. My
Become
son
a-
would love this one.
Well, that's great. I mean, I always like this one because I get less focused on the drawing and just making the noise. So
Yeah.
you wind up making all these marks without really realizing it.
Patrick, one more instrument. What's that one over there?
This one?
Over there, yes, this one.
It's called a 3-penny radio, so it's another version of the crystal radio.
How does it work?
No.
Oh, because of the setting, it
Oh, it
doesn't
doesn't
work.
work in here, but it does work.
Yes.
We're not getting any stations in here, so.
So, is this the first phase of a project? It's like a multi-phase project. Are you hoping?
I think there were a lot of things that we would just say, you know, we don't have time to make that or explore it, so we'll do it next time. So I think we'd be happy to collaborate again, just keep on working on things.
What do you think?
Yes, I agree with Alisdair. As I was working on some of these things, I kept getting more ideas for different things, so I'm sure we can do a lot more in the future.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.